Hi, everybody. Welcome to Work Besties, Who Podcast,
Hi,
Season
everyone.
2, focused on
Wellness.
wellness. We are super excited for today's episode because this is a wellness opportunity that I believe you and I probably were most excited to reach out to and have conversations with. It's these two individuals, Anjl and Rob, and Anjl has a company called Brushcapades. It is a sip and paint type style, but she brings in humor and that kind of moment of zen and pause that we love to do and laugh nonstop on our podcast.
Hi, I'm Claude.
And I'm Jess.
We are corporate employees by day, entrepreneurs by night, and work besties for life.
Join us as we explore how work besties lift each other up, laugh through the chaos, and thrive together in every industry.
Work besties.
Welcome, Anjl and Rob. Do you guys want to give a little bit of background on yourselves?
No. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that was great.
And
Jess.
this
Thank
has been
you
a great
so much.
episode.
Thank you.
It's the only mystery I have in my life, Jess. I'm a blank slate. I'll give you a little bit of history about the business.
Anjl, a blank canvas.
Why didn't I say that? Yes, I'm a blank canvas. We all are, aren't we? Yeah, we just went there.
We all are.
Yes, it was a paint and sip. What I do, I first heard of paint night back in 2014, and I was doing comedy and working as an illustrator. And I thought, oh man, I am uniquely qualified to do that for a living as an entertainer and an artist. I'm going to call paint night to let them know. And they said, awesome, you can do it on Tuesday nights at this bar. And I thought, I'm just going to buy easels. So I did and started this company not knowing what I was doing. I just kind of practiced on friends and then jumped in, and it went well. And then pandemic happened. And then my work went virtual. Oh, and I was in Seattle at the time and doing the paint nights, and somebody asked if I do corporate events, and I'm thinking, what is a corporate event but a paint night during the day? Yeah, I do that. And the difference is there's a big difference. Paint night, everybody signs up, they register, they know why they're coming, and they're excited to go. With a corporate event, your boss is telling you where to be at 4 p.m. on a Thursday. So you get the gamut of emotions in there, right? From, oh, this is going to be awesome, to I would rather be anywhere but here right now. And I found that fascinating. Like, who doesn't like to do this? Because this is awesome. And people will come in saying, don't expect much out of me. My third grade teacher told me I will never be an artist. And my sister got all the talent. I can only do stickmen. And so my talking points during this event really geared toward, do this because it's good for you, not because you're good at it. Because you will get good at it, because art is like yoga. You're way better on day 800 than you are on day 1. And it's a journey. And the reason to do it is because it is scientifically proven to help with anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, outside of the box thinking, self-esteem, all of the things. And that is what I stress during my events. That's the difference. Is a wellness thing, because we are all artists. That's a hard word to own. We're the only living creature that does this, and it's inherent to what we are as a creature. And we've been, cave art is 40,000 years old. Proof of agriculture is less than 5,000 years old. It's been more important for us as a creature to express ourselves than to eat on the regular. That is inherent. And we're moving further and further away from that. They're not even teaching people how to write cursive anymore. We're moving further and further away from that. So that's why doing this as a intentful thing is just super important to just who we are, what we are.
Brief backstory for me is I was working in the corporate world for 30 years or so. And so I was around 2017, the head of training for a large national corporation. And they just happened to move their headquarters from my current hometown to somewhere else in the country. And so the decision was, do you move and potentially be away from your family, your loved ones, your support network, and live by yourself in an apartment with hopefully at least a dog till the end of your corporate career, or do you cut ties and start a new challenge? And that's what I decided to do. Joel touched on it briefly. Step between the thing is, you've got pain and sip sort of situations, and then you've got corporate events, right? And just from my my background in corporate environments, there's a dichotomy there where if you work in a corporation, the key is standardization. In order for everybody to be the most productive, you have to have a certain set of rules that everybody abides by. And that is counterintuitive to what we call creativity for the most part, being an individual, expressing yourself, and going down that sort of path. So interesting to me was the fact that corporations try to include activities like this in their corporate offerings to kind of bridge the gap, I think, in between creativity and conformity, basically.
You bring up a good point, Rob. When it comes to this type of an activity, it is meant to foster creativity and provide that ability for individuals to be more of their authentic, unique self. So as you do these corporate events, what's kind of been the most shocking to you, or the thing that's really been eye-opening as you are hosting these events?
For me, it's when somebody goes from the extreme of do not expect much out of me to I didn't know I could do this. What else can I do?
Okay.
That is my goal, to have everybody have that thought in their head. And every once in a while, somebody will go to the trouble of, after an event, actually reaching out to say, I didn't know I could. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know I could do this. There was one girl in particular who worked for Spotify in Sweden, and she signed on late. I didn't pay much attention because she signed on late. And she wrote me a very long email the next day and said, I wasn't going to join, but my work friends kind of bullied me into it. So I joined. I told them when we were planning an event, I'd want to do anything but art, and art is what they chose. So I just wasn't going to show up, because when she was young, during an art class, her teacher held up her painting as an example of what not to do, because she painted her sky pink. What? So she said, so I did it. I was just kind of only half-heartedly doing this. And then all of a sudden I realized I was enjoying it. And then all of a sudden I realized I was really into it. And I surprisingly really love what I came up with. And she sent me a photo, and it was not lost on me that she made her background pink. We painted abstract guitars, and she sticks out in my mind. So the color pink, which I'm not normally a fan of now, is very symbolic.
That's something remind me that my son is more into math, and each time he had to do an art project or painting, it had to be perfect. And I was telling him, that's the beauty of art. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's where you can unleash your creativity and do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it.
That is the beauty. It's just, it's exercising that other half of the brain, that someone who is a perfectionist. People think when they're following, especially a lead artist, that their thing needs to look like what mine looks like. And I keep telling them, if Picasso or Andy Warhol and Van Gogh were both on your team and they were both in here trying to paint like each other, they'd both feel like a failure, because their stuff would be so different from each other, just because your personality is on your canvas. So it is not going to look like mine. And if yours looks like mine, they have done you a disservice. And if you are very analytical, then your lines are going to look a whole lot different than mine do. And I admire it and wish I was.
And that's the beauty of it too, right?
And that's okay.
If you are forced into a creative event by your corporation, God love them. If that is the gateway to finding your individuality and your creativity, it's all good.
Yeah.
All good.
For sure.
It brings to the problem solving too, right? A lot of time,
absolutely.
You need to think outside the box.
Absolutely
so it can help to unleash this.
Yeah, and
corporations and corporate events are trying to tap into that way. At least that's what they tell you. Like we care about you. We want you to grow and think outside of the box, and quote. Insert your glory statements there. It's all good though. If anything, the bottom line is get to know that you are a creator.
When you start these classes, do you find, so as you mentioned, like some people show up late or some people are not fully kind of focused on you, what has been ways to kind of break those barriers to get some of those individuals that maybe aren't in their comfort zone feel more like it's a comfort zone thing?
The first thing I have that we have people do when they start a painting is to get rid of the white of the canvas. So if we're doing a landscape, the top half is blue, the bottom half is green. Then you're just kind of storytelling on top of that, right? A blue streak is a river, and you're storytelling on top of the background that you have laid. But soon after the background is on, you see in some people's eyes, this is not going well. So I have everybody at the same time show their art. Everybody same time. We're a third of the way in, maybe. And everybody puts it up, and then I sit back a minute and everybody starts doing this. Jan, I love your trees. Steve, oh my gosh, your clouds are so gorgeous. I love the color. They just start doing that. And then I say, do you notice that your brain is doing this? Mine sucks, but everybody else has something so creative and so different. Mm-hmm. I don't have that left lobe that we just talked about, but I know that math doesn't check. If everybody's thinking mine is the only sucky one, then it can't be true. Yours are all different because of your personalities, and I make comparisons sometimes at that point. It's like I can really tell your lines are, your sky doesn't blend really well from the dark blue to the light blue. You paint like Modigliani, or you paint like Matisse, and I start comparing them to famous people, which is true, which is a genuine, honest truth. And then they're like, okay, I don't know who Matisse is, but yeah, you know what I mean?
Sounds legit.
Yeah. And it is. I don't ever lie, but it is inherent to me to look for what is working, which is another great life lesson. Instead of perseverating on what's not working, what is working?
Right.
It's such a great place to practice that self-kindness and that neuroplasticity that is a buzzword today. We've got this little voice in our head that is telling us where we're going wrong all day long. Mm-hmm. But something is also going right, you know? And this art that is outside of yourself is such a great place to start practicing. My Eiffel Tower isn't wonky, it's playful, because I have a playful personality. Yes, yes to that. So that's where we try to go with it.
I love that. That's something that I think we taught about too, is we're so quick when somebody gives you a compliment to deflect it or to knock it down.
Yes.
And that's something I'm actively working on this year, is trying to say thank you and appreciate it, not just brush it off. Because so many of us do it, and especially in the work environment, we definitely do it even more so.
Exactly. A fun little exercise is yes-anding any compliment you get. Like, your painting is awesome. Yes, and I like my color choices. Yeah. How can you yes and a compliment? Yeah, do that. Join in the fun of that compliment.
I see how you just parlayed the improv into this. Well done.
As I started that sentence, I think maybe we're going to talk about this later. Maybe I should shut up right now. Too late. I'm on a roll.
No. I am curious because you have that comedic background. Mm-hmm. In addition to doing this amazing company that you have where you do corporate events and also personal events around the painting, from your perspective, have you ever incorporated any of those other improv tactics into some of the corporate events?
This yes and thing, I'm going to say yes. Okay. Is a thing for sure. Other than that, I don't literally do any comedic training with it, other than, improv is good for everybody. Just that yes and thing that I just talked about. Just yes and everything. Yes and helped this business really take off during the pandemic. Once I'm like, what? Not doing it in person anymore. What can I do? How can I get, this is my reality now. How can I get paint into people's hands? And then we went worldwide. So there's just nothing but a positive, you know, instead of allowing yourself to be stuck in a thing, just like, well, I'm here now. So how am I going to get over there? Not from where I was, but where I am now. And I think probably inherently that's something that we also always infuse into thinking when it comes to art, because it's fascinating to me how, if we had met on a tennis court today and you have not played tennis before, you would not expect yourself to be good, and you would not say, I'm not going to do this because I'm not good at it. Well, you never tried it. You know what I mean? And art is the same way. And it's fascinating to me how it's really personal for people, and that's just proof to me that this is inherent to everybody, and that's why we prejudge ourselves about this, where we don't prejudge ourselves, like I said, with chess or tennis or any other thing that we've not tried before. But this is an inherent thing, and that's
Right.
why it's personal, and that's why.
Or even bring it back to the work environment too. Like a lot of tasks you are assigned, you probably haven't done before
Right.
or done routinely. So it does give you that reminder that it's okay to mess up or to struggle or to do something differently.
Yeah.
And you learn
exactly.
from it.
And I think
It's all a
humor,
journey.
putting a wash of humor over all of that just makes it go much, much better, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that we've found is that humor tends to really alleviate a very stressful day. If you are really in the thick of a project, sometimes just taking that 5-10 minutes or having something like this type of a corporate event to remind you of more positive elements can help then get you back on track with whatever you previously were challenged or working on.
And that's how we really connected over back a year and a half ago, where we were very stressed and we just started to laugh and to use humor to decompress.
Yeah. To take that 5 minutes to giggle about something ridiculous and then get back into
humor just kind of clears the decks, right? Especially if you're in a negative spot.
As you guys are using this Brushcapades opportunity to have those conversations in companies and corporations, what are leave behinds or ideas that you provide to individuals in these corporate environments to do on a weekly or more of a routine basis?
The reason to do these things, and even if it's not doing a full painting, but just doodling on a piece of paper, just drawing your breath, is meditating with a parting gift, right? When I just try to sit and meditate, my ADD brain just can't let go of a to-do list. It just won't, refuses. But I can art, or I can doodle, and a couple of hours can go by, and that's a real meditative reboot. That is the important thing to take away from this. One of the biggest things to take away is we're not doing things for Etsy. I said before, cave art is 40,000 years old plus. We've only been selling art to each other less than 500 years. That is a blip in time, but that's the measure everybody uses as to whether or not they should do art, is if it's good enough to sell. And that's the message we're trying to turn around is you do it and put it in the trash can if it makes you feel better, but the doing it is the thing. Is the thing. And also emotional distance is also a thing. And this is also a really important lesson. I think when people are like, oh, my work sucks. But then when they show it in the camera, they're like, whoa, it looks way better on camera than it does in person. I'm like, that is your emotional distance right there. If today you're thinking, I'll bet my art looks really good 60 feet away from me. Tomorrow it's going to be 40 feet. And the next day it's going to be 20 feet. In a week, you're going to go, hey, I did a pretty good job here. Emotional distance. And that's not only works for art, it works for a lot of other disagreements and work problems and all of that as well. So just being conscious of the fact that it is a thing.
Interesting nugget there. The emotional distance is a huge learning opportunity for people when you're in the moment versus just taking a couple step backs. Yeah.
A good technique is just take your phone, stand back, take a picture of it, look at the picture, right? And now this art, it's not connected to you and a brush and a little paint and about 6 inches to a foot away. It's arm's length, literally arm's length. And just going from that 100 to 30,000 foot view is really helpful and to give you that emotional distance.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good call to attention to the work bestie community out there to take that as an idea of something to incorporate into your life, whether it's a personal or even work related thing. Because you're right. There's so many things that when you're in the heat of it, your mindset is not able to disassociate from truly what's happening.
Yeah. And it's so interesting.
It's also, it's the same when you're on a project a lot of times.
Yes.
When you say like you're stuck, they say just get away from it. Take 5-minute break and dissociate yourself from that project. And it's actually can go with art, which I never thought about that. It's a great point.
Great place to practice.
I want to bring up again is the comment about doodling, because when you think of doodling, I'll be honest, I think of like grade school, right? You were doodling
the cover of your notebooks.
while your teacher's talking. And I never really...
I still doodle though.
Well, that's good, because like I never really linked how that actually does calm your mind. It might actually help you pay attention better.
1,000%.
Because remember, your teacher would call you and be like, "Are you doodling?" Like that's a bad thing, but it actually is almost like a form of meditation.
Helps you focus.
It is. There are studies that if you are doing that hand to paper connection while somebody's talking, you will retain 15% more of what they are saying than if you are just staring at them watching, because your brain can multitask, so it does. But if you give your hand something else to do, it's scientifically impossible to worry about yesterday and have anxiety about tomorrow when you're doing this, when you're hand to paper.
We have a thing called mindful doodling. Anjl, do you want to talk about that maybe a little bit?
Yeah, we start with just drawing our breath, just drawing the breath. And then I give people just the 5 elements of all art is a dot, a circle, a parentheses, a curvy line. I like to call it parentheses because I work with a lot of tech people that relate to the parentheses and the backslash and the forward slash. I use that technology, that phraseology when I'm teaching things. And I tell them, you put enough parentheses together, you got the Mona Lisa. She was born of a lot of parentheses. And then just making repetitive patterns of these 5 little drawing elements is how you create pattern, and how you create anything, really, just breaking everything down to the smallest thing that is attainable. A parentheses, so attainable, and so is a tiny little straight line, so is a dot, right? And you make repetitive patterns with those, then you've got these really beautiful things. So that's what it is. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Claude, you know what I'm thinking?
What?
I feel like that mindful doodling class would be amazing to do with some of our work bestie community.
Yeah.
Because that's one, I mean, to your point, like painting in general is for everyone too, but doodling, I feel that's like a nice, easy win for everybody to take on.
Absolutely.
And do. I feel like we
absolutely
should come up with some ideas and send out to our work bestie community to join a class with us in doodling.
I'm yes-anding that.
So fun. Okay, so we know doodling is a nice form of kind of meditation and way to kind of alleviate maybe stress, but also retain information. Is there any other tips and tricks for the work bestie community out there? Because this season we're all about wellness and trying to help our community incorporate little things and tips and tricks into
levity is good. Humor is good. Rob and I were reminiscing last night about our favorite work meeting, and I didn't talk much about all the different ways that Rob works with me. Not only is he an artist the teaching artist, he's also my tech advisor and my business advisor, and all the things that my minuscule little left brain, I shouldn't down myself. I got a huge left brain. It's just got a lot of space for growth. We'll say that.
Your right side is just that much bigger, that's all.
Rob comes from so much opportunity. I'm excited. Rob comes from the corporate world. He's so invaluable as far as what that mindset is like, and how to, as this business grows, how to standardize and other things like that. He's been invaluable to me like that. But because we are also siblings, sometimes I will resist his offerings where I maybe wouldn't if he wasn't somebody I was related to. When we have these difficult conversations and they're over Zoom because we live in different parts of the country, we will hit the little feature on Zoom or FaceTime that adds a little French beret to your head, or a little mustache, or sunglasses, or makeup.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm a bunny now.
It's so hard to be mad at a bunny.
I'm so happy you say that, because I wanted to know, because, Rob, you were saying that you came from corporate. So I did figure, I thought that there would be one has more of a left brain than the other one more of a right brain. And how do you incorporate working together? Because yes, you might be sibling, but you also work besties.
The balance, I think, is beautiful in the sense that she's got that artistic, free spirit, I don't know how to plug things in sort of mentality. And I have more of a must march the soldiers down to the coffee room And
Yeah.
it's like we just
Yeah.
got a memo from marketing, and
Standard
now we have to
operating
go down this
procedure.
path. And how do we brand this? And what's our appeal and our audience and our strategy? Let's have let's do a competitive market analysis on blah 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 blah. I see it as a great balance in between. I'm a little more background and skilled in the corporate and tech world, and she is like 100% improv artist, free spirit, and both of us want to get to the other side. I am so glad that she has finally admitted on the airwaves
Absolutely.
that she resists my opinions, because I thought, how can I be wrong all the time?
This is a constant theme to our work meetings. He is wrong all the time.
I love this. You're wrong all the time. Wow, well, at least my average is good.
Got that on my side.
He's consistent.
I love how we just now moved over into your partnership and how you two are actually work besties as well as siblings, which is very impressive. I have 2 brothers and I cannot imagine starting and working in a company with them. I love them, but I think that's a really cool idea that you guys have. In addition to knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses, you can find that way to create that levity or something to stop the spiraling, continuing down but guess what, Rob? You're always wrong. I'm just going to put a bray on you and then I'll remember maybe you're actually right.
One thing that helps us, humor is very important to both of us. And so anything that is said like you're always wrong, while it's steeped in truth, is now that he's gone, I can really talk.
That's the real deal.
Is also steeped in a deep respect for each other, a deep love and respect for each other. And so humor helps us really quickly. I think I can count on 2 fingers how many times I've come close to tears, and it wasn't because of any, can I say the word ass? I just did.
You can say it.
Hard butt thing that he was saying. It was because it hit some kind of an emotional trigger in me. You can see how our work meetings go.
You guys might need a mediator at times.
So this will kill you. Mom was a therapist.
That so makes sense.
Oh man, we survived that. But we do have a really great respect for each other. And I think while he really does know what is best business-wise, but if I'm just feeling like I just can't do that, let's say the V word, shall we, videos, there are no instructional videos from me out there in the world. I feel like there are a billion of them out there. That's not my place. My place is to encourage people to take the leap, to take the journey. That's my thing. Rob would really like to see me make some Bob Rossi kind of videos. And whenever I try, the outtakes are way more entertaining than the actual video themselves. So I keep posting the outtakes.
Come on, baby. This is not good for the brand.
This might be the forest from the trees moment for you, though.
I can tell. It's the best part. It's me going, this is ridiculous.
Are we still taping?
That's why you have TikTok, right? That's when you put all those on TikTok.
Right. That's all I've got is little TikTok-y. I'll outtake. I don't know. That's the only bit of it that gives me joy. The rest of it does not give me joy. And if it doesn't give me joy, I'm not going to do it.
Though, that it kind of sounds like you are still somewhat meeting in the middle because Rob's asking you to do videos. You do them. And you're making them you. You're making them authentic to you.
Yes.
We're all learning and growing, and I am learning. Anjl is not the kind of person you put on an instructional video.
I mean, so we've learned that too in our journey as we've started our business. There are so many things that we've assigned to each other as tasks, and then we quickly learned.
Out of respect for her and who she is, and my failing at completing the task of getting her to do it, I am learning to be responsible for myself and learning that if she is not that thing, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think that's a really good life lesson.
What is the expression? You don't put spot on a zebra? What is it?
I think so. I think
that was enough right there. I got the analogy. Yeah, you don't put spots on a zebra.
And you just have to foster it, or even having something that is not this.
Yeah. In hindsight, I wish that Anjl would have just came out and told me she wasn't a zebra. Would have saved some time.
I mean, in fairness, she probably thought you saw that.
You grew up together after all.
Have you not seen the spots?
That's on me.
But I think that's the beauty of a work bestie relationship or a relationship in a work environment in general is, and especially with you guys being siblings too, I feel like you learn about each other and you're still going to challenge each other. I don't think what you did was wrong, Rob. Like you're saying, hey, I know this will work. This is going to be a success. Try it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not doing it. So now why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
And then finding out, okay, is there something in between?
Then compromising. At the end of the day, finding it might not be that idea, but it becomes finding something else that incorporate both elements.
Yeah.
I like that.
You know? So
I think that's great. I feel like you've given us some ideas and tips though on how to work together on something like this.
I'm going to put little bunny here for you.
On me. Whenever I get really angry or mad. Normally for us though, it's because one of us is super hungry and the other person hasn't like eaten, so then we get we get aggressive.
And then after we eat, we are there.
Then we're like
kiss
fine.
and makeup.
Nice.
So you guys mentioned that you don't live anywhere close to each other. So how do you keep your company going with the fact that you're both far away from each other?
Since the pandemic, it's entirely a virtual company.
Okay.
There are some aspects that are in person, and Rob has started doing in-person things in his city, which just makes us all look bigger, right?
Right. And so the oversight and the management of stuff happens in just 2 different locations now. We communicate on the regular, for sure. Yeah, exactly. And
almost daily.
If we're not doing that, telepathy, I can't say I'm using it if I can't pronounce it.
I was going to say, Anjl should be able to end that sentence for you.
Thank you. Done.
Telepathy.
Done.
You're welcome.
So it sounds like you guys have just kind of figured out that rhythm then between you two. Because I think, I mean, we live close to each other, but I feel like for you and I, as you just commented about, Rob, we're always talking. So we have like dedicated times, but then there's also the day-to-day operations.
Text and,
things pop up.
IMs and all that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what about you? Any other questions?
No, I think I have. There are some.
Oh, I do have one question for you. Going back to your workshop, just because I'm a big fan of improv and stuff. So I'm curious from your perspective, in any of your workshops you've done, what's been like the funniest moment, whether it was something you caused or something from the group themselves?
In an improv-y way?
Or no, it doesn't have to be an improv-y way, but just in general. If there's anything funny that occurred.
This was one of my favorite improv-y arty moments was we did an enormous event for Amazon Corporation, and were most of the participants in Asia? I feel like they were, because we were doing this like at 2 a.m. And because there were so many people that were going to be in on this call, Rob was also there. And when we do really large events, Rob will work in the background and manage the chat if I'm just leading the class. So there are many different ways to do that. But this was a thing, and it was Amazon. So they didn't purchase materials from us. It was a painting class. They were just going to send people stuff. And we're like, cool. Well, the people signed on, and the art supplies varied from a full, like what we send out for an art class, which is the palette and the canvas and the brushes and the paint, to downgraded to some people got a couple of Sharpies. One guy got a bingo dauber, maybe 2 bingo daubers. And the thing they wanted us to paint was a painting of a phoenix rising, because it was the mascot of the event they were having that we were a part of. So Phoenix Rising with a bingo dauber. Talk about an improv moment.
Like, I don't even know what that is. I feel like I have to go Google what that is.
Bingo dauber? It's a marker with a round ball on it. So you're just making a mark where B067 is and B15 is. It's a magic marker with a round head on it.
So how in the world did you do that?
Right? we just walked through how to draw the thing, and oh my gosh, I just wanted to concentrate on the guy who was the lowest denominator, that guy with bingo daubers, and just tell him how to do the bird in one color and the background in another color. But being able to hang on to joy while doing that, and it's, I'm very lucky in that is very inherent to me. I like to tell people that if Bob Ross and Dory the Fish had a baby, it would be me. So it's very easy for me to hang on to joy and to figure out how to keep the joy going. You know what I mean?
Class.
But I would say that was
appreciated that, because if they had such variations of supplies,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like they gave you an impossible challenge and somehow you figured out.
Yeah. And the joy that I got from the story afterwards is also worth the not getting frustrated and stomping the ground on that, because what does that solve? Nothing.
I mean, as to be a participant, I'm sure they were giggling when
you have to laugh. Like, there's no other choice in this situation to laugh about a situation like that, right?
You know what I love about those situations is as how much it sucks so bad when it happens, but afterward it's like, oh my God, do we remember that time?
Yeah,
and it becomes a good time, you know, and laughing.
Yes. And so if you can make the joy from that happen in the moment instead of in the after story, that's control you have over any situation, any kind of crap situation. You've retained control of that situation then, right? Yeah. So good.
And just from personal experience, I can say funniest thing now that ever happened is I was doing a solo teaching event with about,
I love this one.
Probably maybe 20, 30 students or so. And I had the overhead camera on my painting, and so they could see what kind of paint are you grabbing from the palette and what's it look like going on the canvas. And I'm like, oh, hang on a sec. I need just a little more red paint. And I grabbed a paint bottle. Wait. Yeah, I grabbed a paint bottle. No. It's a squeeze. Well, think of a ketchup bottle with red paint in it, right? And I'm like, we're showing the palette, and I'm just putting a little on there, and I squeezed a little too hard. The cap came off. All of a sudden, I've got a crime scene. It
sent me a picture. It was on the curtains.
It exploded on the canvas, on the palette, on the
canvas too. And you're like, no, I meant that, guys. That was perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And you could hear the muted giggles and whispers of all the students in the background, like, oh my God, did that just happen? Exactly. And it's like,
you'll never forget that event, ever.
They're all like, I think it must have been the best event.
I feel like you should have branded that one as like a corporate event for those who do like book clubs that are only on like serial killers or something.
You know, being the good soldier that I am, I'm just like, whoopsie daisy. Just keep on going. It's like, okay, well, I'll go back. I'll cover that in with white a little later. Exactly. It's like,
you're like, so I like to make extra steps for myself. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I can guarantee that the people that attended that one are still
talking about it.
It's like team building. It must be 101. It's like, remember that one time we all...
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you remember that guy when he put paint all over his canvas? I love it. You're welcome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I did want to ask you, this is about a work bestie podcast, and you two are work besties as well as siblings. So, Anjl, Rob, this has been a joy. We'll also link the Brushcapades website as also your handles across all the social platforms in our contacts as well for everybody that's listening. I just want to say as a kind of like a wrap up to this, that the thing that I found the most amazing, that creativity isn't about perfection. It is definitely about the connection and the joy and just kind of putting yourself out there, which I think you guys shared multiple stories on that. And it's been very enlightening.
And really great precursor to our wellness journey with the humor and the creativity, how important it is to bring those in our life.
So being that this is our new positioning of our season for being focused on wellness for all the work besties out there, we are going to challenge you to incorporate some of the things that we listened about today. I think the one that I would love to see from people is the doodling. We have a word of the week that we do. and we have people tag and send to us. So we'd love to now start seeing doodles.
With doodles.
Yeah, start seeing doodles and what kind of joy that brings you in your meetings and your days.
And also one thing that I liked also was, Rob, when you say, taking the picture of, your art, to be able to step back from a project you're doing and really enjoying it. That is also something that we can learn from doing it.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Remember, whether you're swapping snacks in the break room, rescuing each other from endless meetings, or just sending that perfectly timed meme, having a work bestie is like having your own personal hype squad.
So keep lifting each other up, laughing through the chaos, and of course, thriving. Until next time, stay positive, stay productive, and don't forget to keep supporting each other.